This is a day in a life as an Uber driver with Duece Hagerty. As you all may know, the cost of living in California is through the roof. So from time to time, I have to get out behind the wheel and turn on some of these apps and, some of these ride sharing services and make a couple of dollars on the side. So I typically like to pre-game it and get out and go somewhere and polish my car up and knock the dust off, clean off all the floor mats and whatnot, fuel up before I start my shift. It's good to do all these things just so you're not trying to do last minute things while you're already out and you can just focus on making money. I like to head to a decent area where things aren't rough and I don't have to worry about looking over my shoulder. I don't mind dropping off in the hood, but I try to turn the app off when I reach the hood, just so I don't take any chances or risk a carjacking or anything like that. I ain't got nothing against the hood, but the hood be up to no good. So I gotta play it cautious out here. If you're trying to make it home at night, that's just, that's how I gotta do it. But yeah, so I try to stay in decent areas where the money is, where it's people that's civilized and respectful. Those are the type of people that I like to pick up and get rides to. With this business, sometimes you can't control it. It's unexpected sometimes, so you got to take what's given to you. Just make it through that ride and just be cautious and check your rear view mirrors and be alert. That's one thing I can suggest with sketchy passengers. I try to avoid creeps and maniacs and weirdos and people that are just off the rocks and people that are just on the edge and not reasonable and logical people. I try to keep those people from around me and in my vehicle because it can become problematic. I've had people throw up in here before or near throw up situations. I've had people almost jump out the car while I was driving. So when I'm in the car with the passenger, I'm constantly surveying the lanes, checking the intersections before I pass through. I would feel very terrible if something was to happen to me and a passenger while we were out just heading to a destination. So I always try to look around and keep things safe and drive on defense. I'm always controlling the climate, adjusting the temperature in the vehicle. I have to be the DJ. I do stereotype and typecast. I must admit, based on demographics and who the rider is, I make sure I tailor the music to that specific person, because I try to make sure I'm not playing anything that will offend them or anything that's not to their liking, because that can affect your ride. If you're going on a 15-minute, 20-minute ride listening to some music that you're really not into for that time period, there's a lot of things you can encounter out here. So I'm just trying to, run a few of these experiences down to you guys, let you know what I've experienced and what I've witnessed. So you never know what to expect on an average work day. You can have somebody with a chair that needs to be folded up. They may have a walker. Some people have wheelchairs. Some people have their pets with them. They have the emotional animals with them or their rescue animals. So you have to accommodate those people. You have people that want to get in through the back door behind the driver's seat, and you have all the other doors that they could have used as an option, but they want to get in through this door and sit behind you and make things awkward for a whole 20-minute ride. You can't even see them. You can't just look over your shoulder like that. Like, they're sitting directly behind you. So you have to work your mirror the whole time. So it's stuff like that people do that you have to kind of just brush off and just make it through the day. When you pull up to a certain location and this is the pickup point and the passenger isn't waiting outside of the destination, sometimes you have to just be patient and, probably give them a call, reach out to them, shoot them a text, I've arrived, things like that. And they give you about 2-3 minutes to wait until you can cancel the ride, and you probably receive a $3, $4 payment for traveling to this location. But that happens more frequent than you think. Sometimes it's a glitch or something. You'll be sent somewhere across town and nobody will be there. It won't be an icon on the app that there's a person standing out there, or they have the little icon that shows you that there's a person nearby, as well as where the pin is dropped for you to pick them up at. So there's glitches like this that happens, and it's a huge inconvenience because it's time wasted, it's gas wasted. The money that they're giving you for these bogus rides isn't enough for the travel time that you put in. So you have to take that into accountability. It's not against the law to arm yourself and protect yourself while you're in your vehicle, and you're also picking up strangers on a frequent basis. So while I'm out in traffic working and I'm dealing with strangers and people with backpacks and things of that nature, I do keep a little pocket knife on me. So just for protection in case of an emergency, I forbid anything happens in a case where I have to use this or defend myself or, ward off some type of strange evildoers. But you'd rather be safe than sorry. So rather it be pocket knife, pepper spray, taser, if you have a permit to carry, firearm, whatever the case may be, I've heard some very dark horror stories of being a rideshare driver, and I'm not trying to be a part of that demographic. It's always good to have a good meal in your system before you get out behind the wheel. Pack you a few snacks, some water, all the essentials, because you're going to be out on the road for a few hours, and you don't want to get into a situation where you're starving or you're fatigued from not eating or you're tired. You have the option coffee or Energizer, one of the two, whichever one works for you best. Coffee makes you want to go poop after the first 30 minutes of drinking that. The energy drink makes your heart rush, so it's like there's no winning, you just gotta take it in small doses and get out here for your shift and make it happen, Bang out some rides, get your bread, meet some new people, A cool part about this job is, you get to see different scenic views, and you're in different cities and neighborhoods. You get to see different buildings and houses and structures. You get to meet some nice people. So there are some benefits to being out on the road for a few hours doing this job. You have to keep your car in tip-top shape. You need brakes, tires, oil change. Check the transmission fluid, antifreeze. You need windshield wipers, headlights. You're gonna need up-to-date tags, registration, smog check. You gotta consider all of this stuff before you think you're just gonna jump out here on the road. Boy, police will have you pulled over so quick and have your car on a flatbed, you'll be sick. You're not playing, man. I just went through hell getting this car back certified to drive. I'm driving on the 110 and get a crack in my windshield. My Uber car inspection expired, so I'm thinking I'm just gonna drive through here and get a quick car inspection. They look at my windshield and said, "There's no way we can pass your car like that." And I said, "What? You can't give me a pass? Come on." He laughed. That dude bust out laughing, man. I had to drive out of there, you know what I'm saying? I was just like embarrassed, man. When I pulled back on them to get the inspection again, they get down on their knees like, pause, checking the tires, like looking with this tire tool, like making sure I got enough tire tread to be driving it past the inspection. I was like, wow, this is crazy. All of this stuff that's required, just to keep your car up to par to make some money, man. All the stuff drivers got to go through. This is the stuff they don't tell y'all. But I'm your boy Hagerty. I'm going to let you know from the jump. You need all type of things for this job because it's very vigorous and strenuous on your car. If you're not on top of these things, you will end up on the curb trying to make some money. These services don't really care what happens. They want to rent you a new car. They want to charge you every week to drive one of their cars, and you're only making a fraction of the money that you just put all your hours towards working. Don't fall for the trap. When you get out here, you gotta have a good outlook. You gotta try to be positive, friendly, upbeat, alert, all of these things. Because people that get in your car, they're going to have different temperaments and different moods. And you don't know what type of energy they're going to bring to you. You may have someone that's just extra quiet. You may have somebody that's just super talkative, talk your ear off. You may have somebody that's just like grabby and touchy, want to just like pat you on the shoulder every 5 minutes. So you have to be prepared for this. These are people. People are unpredictable. They're characters, so just be ready. Some people are gonna get in here and they're gonna just take your mood and just gonna bring it straight down like a plane crash. So just don't let them get under your skin, because they can have some bad negative energy, and they use a lot of profanity from time to time. If you're a Christian or a holy person and you're just doing this to make some money, you're gonna be subjected to another world and another culture of people, things that you may not be used to, or something that you may not expect, but it's gonna come your way, and it's gonna be pretty much unavoidable for that entire duration of that ride. So just buckle your seatbelts, hang on tight, and be ready, and be the best you. Do what you gotta do. These services want you to just let people in like the MTA bus or something. This is not the Metro Link. The other day, somebody tried to get in here with 5 passengers. This is a 4-passenger car, including myself. So I don't see where the logic was in that, or what they thought they ordered, what kind of car they got. But this is a 4-passenger vehicle with a trunk in the back, a hatch. It's unsafe. There's no seat belt back there, so I had to cancel that ride. This is one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. You never know. Someone could get in your car and just be a mass murderer. So I do try to screen my passengers, before I arrive or as I'm pulling up. I'm checking them, surveying them, looking at them up and down. I'm reading their body language. I'm looking at how much baggage they have, or if they're well kept or not. And these are the things that's important, because you only have a split second once it's too late. You always have to follow your first mind. Don't be afraid to cancel a ride. Even the services will tell you that. They'll let you know, like, if things don't feel right, then abort. You have to equip yourself with these tactics. Don't go out and try to get the most top of the line vehicle to do this job thinking you're just gonna do all Lux rides and black rides. You're not gonna get the top tier paying rides all day around the clock. They can't afford that. They're not paying for those type of rides. Some people want to have a discount ride and budget themselves. So I would suggest you just get a base model or something that's just, efficient enough to get the job done and it's up to par and it runs well, can get you to point A to point B. I'm in a luxury vehicle and I make base pay doing this. Sometimes I get fees that's insulting for me to have, put forth the effort to present a quality ride for my passengers, and the payout, it doesn't equal up. So I gotta eat that. I'm just trying to make a dime to feed my kids and pay my bills. That's all I gotta do. That's all that this will allow you to. Sometimes it won't allow you to even do that. So you gotta come out the next day, or probably the next day, to add on to what you made the day before that. It's tricky. I've been doing this for like 2 or 3 years, so I have my own methods and ways I go about it. You can message me or just reach out, ask me a question or two, or pick my brain. But I'm not gonna just tell y'all all of the things I experienced and give y'all all of the game. I have a few methods that I like to share with you, and it may be useful to you, it may not be. You may have another strategy, but that's okay. This is life. This is a system. You have to find your way. For some, this is a very lucrative job. For some people, this isn't very lucrative. Some people only make $40-50 a day. Some people make $1,000 a day. So it just depends on your drive and your system, your work ethic, I guess. I typically do about 3-4 hours a day, so I don't put too much wear and tear on my car. I usually burn out after that time anyway. Feet start hurting, get tired of sitting in the seat for too long, and just get, fatigued. So that's typically the amount of time I put in driving. If you want to get out here and just make a few bucks a day, you can do rides within a certain proximity. Or if you want to make the big bucks, you got to be willing to drive a far distance, like miles and miles, probably like 20-30 miles out. And then you have to think about it. If you left your hometown, you got to drive 20 miles back. So are you going to drive on your own time, your own gas, or are you going to try to find a ride going to your direction? There's different filters and things within the app where you can pick someone up and take them to a certain direction you're going in. But that takes time sometimes, because you have to deviate to where they're at. They're not where you are, where you want to pick them up and go west or north or south. You got to go northeast or something like that, like southwest, before you pick them up and you go the direction you want to go in. So that's time, that's gas. And then they may only want to go like 15 minutes towards your direction. You're not even taking them the whole stretch. So that's up to you. It's random. Am I gonna find a passenger that's gonna go the full ride? You never know. It's all up to the system and what they send you. You want to make the most out of your time, man, especially when you're deviating from a whole different city back to your hometown. So you may have to pick up multiple people before you even make it to your city. If you're in a popular city in an overpopulated area, you have to wait for traffic. It takes time off your schedule. You can't make that many drops if you have a person that you're taking an hour out. You're only trying to do 3 hours on the clock, but you have to drive an hour there, an hour back. That's 2 hours with 1, 2, 3 passengers. That's not that productive. I would like to be banging passengers out, making a substantial amount of money within the 3-4 hours that I'm out here. I would like to do at least like 10 passengers. 10 passengers doing food, 10 deliveries. That's a lot of footwork. That's a lot of driving. Like, what are we doing to ourselves? What are we doing to our cars? So I'm conscious of that. If I'm burning my car out doing this every day, just making a few pennies, it's not beneficial. It doesn't make sense, You got to add it up. It has to be logical. It's got to be lucrative. Let's talk tips. All right. Tips aren't the best, depending on the passenger. A lot of people are tight nowadays. I'm learning that Gen X, they don't really come out the pocket that much. If you rub someone the wrong way, or if you didn't have the AC up to the right temperature, or if it's too cold, if it's too hot, if you have the windows down too long, all of this can, balance and affect your tipping. So you got those little pockets in your door, have some mints or some little candies or something. Sometimes people like a little bottle of water. Some waters, for your passengers in the cooler if you just want to be a hostess and do that for them. That's going the extended distance. That may get you a better tip. People are going to tip you on if you're communicative. If you talk to them, if you give them a good conversation, they'll give you a good tip. Not every day a driver feels like talking to everyone, but you have to kind of like turn up that mode if you want to get good tips. They have certain notifications and things that a passenger will alert you of before the ride starts. Like they want cool temperature, they want a quiet ride, things of that nature. So they kind of like gives you a heads up on, what to expect and what they're looking for within that ride. But not everybody does that. So you have to kind of like gauge the person and talk to them and, get a feel for who they are, what they're about. But across the board, sometimes you're just not going to get a fair tip. Sometimes you're going to get a tip that may offend you. You may feel like you went above and beyond and delivered an excellent service to this passenger and they tip you $1, $2. Anything above $2 for me is fair, but $1 or $2 is somewhat of an insult. I'm grateful for the cash and the change, but it's just like in this day and age, the value of $1 has depreciated. So when you tip someone that, it's kind of pointless. I get the act and the gesture. If you took a person on a 50-minute ride and was polite to them, gave them a good conversation, and then they tip you $1, it's kind of giving a statement. Like they didn't like you or they didn't appreciate the services you provided. It's kind of just like a slap in the face. Some people want to make that presence felt. It's like a statement. It's just pretty much saying a lot by just giving someone $1 or $2 in this day and age where we're living through inflation. The cost of everything is going up and it's just hard to even make money nowadays. But there's a flip side to it. I don't want to be racy or anything, but I feel like different nationalities and different demographics receive different types of tips. That's just my theory. If I was a different race, I feel like I would probably get better tips. But this is just my personal experience. Others may receive better tips based on the people they're around or their race. We have to take that into accountability. But it's just something that I've experienced and that I'm kind of noticing when talking to other drivers that aren't black. That's the world we live in. Hopefully it changes. Hopefully things will be more equal across the board because I'm doing the same job as everyone else and I'm working just as hard. I got the same obligations and responsibilities as everyone else. So we all deserve equal pay, equal tips, fare tips. This is just my voice. I'm just speaking up, you know, but all the other information I gave y'all was from a genuine place, and I want y'all to really know these things and equip yourself with the information if need be. Sometimes you gotta drive 7-8 minutes to pick up a passenger. Sometimes they right around the corner from where you are. It varies. I'm going to pick up a passenger right now. We out here in Culver City. We're gonna see who this is I'm picking up, where they gotta go, what type of mood they in today. Some passengers were just in here, 2 of them. You can still smell them. They were polite, cool, you know. When they first got in, they had some bags. They asked me to pop the trunk, so I did that. And then I seen he didn't, instead of pressing the button on the trunk to lower it, he force closed the trunk, which like pushed it down with his hands and kind of made the electric motor start to close the trunk. Those type of things, you know, peeve you out a little bit. Like people aren't aware, they don't look around to close the trunk properly. Situations like that, things can get damaged. I can tell they not from the US. The man climbed across this back seat instead of just getting out in the rear door behind the driver's seat. He climbed across the seat like it's a cab or something. I seen he dragged his shoes across the seat. And I have my kids in the car time to time, you know, things like that. You have to sanitize your vehicle after each shift. So once we got to their destination, I made sure to take my cell phone off the holder, get out, let him take his bags out. So I pressed the button and shut the trunk properly. You gotta take care of your stuff, you know. They're not gonna do it for you. So the duration of the ride was 20 minutes. We were on the freeway, and sometimes you get on the freeway and you're in traffic, so it's slow, you know, stop and go, and you become drowsy. I really didn't get that much rest last night, and I got out here, I had my meal, but sometimes just because you eat, that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes that'll make you tired. I was kind of like getting sleepy behind the wheel, like I almost nodded out once, so I'm gonna shut it off for the moment, you know. I made a decent amount for that trip, which was really just my gas money back. So if I go ahead and head to the house for a minute and rest up and get back out, it's really no sweat because I've already got my gas money back, and I'll just be starting up my shift a little bit later in the evening. Then I can pretty much work towards my profits. During a longer shift, you will have to refill sometimes, a few times, just because all the driving across the city. This has been a day in the life doing Uber with Duece Hagerty. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Y'all take it easy out there. Keep blamming.
I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith. I run up that Fendi and jump in that Wraith.